Okay, now here's some prerequisites. I'm going to call this section Did You Know? Did you know that did you know what restoration is about? Restoration is about reconciliation. It's about restoration of relationships that matter. Well, we need to restore a relationship with God, parent-child. We need to restore a relationship between husband and wife, subject and object. Not object and object, not subject and subject, but subject and object. Okay? Because that got screwed up. Eve led Adam with her temptation into becoming her object partner. Lucifer led Eve into his delusion into becoming his object partner. And all those relationships, the proper ones, the proper orders of dominion, they were all lost. So restoration is about restoring relationship. Okay? Relationships are often screwed up because of pain that parties give one another. And in order to restore pain, one needs to restore confidence that I am no longer the pain-giving type of person anymore. And people have to do that through pathways that prove that they're made of, that test their metal and prove that they're made of different stuff rather than the historical crap that has been. So providential figures have had to prove that they were not like Satan in order to break the heart of Satan, break the will of Satan to continue to come at them with this idea that we're of him and like him, so we come under his banner. But when you defy that banner and defy that fallen nature and that way of being, he no longer has a claim that you're like him, and he doesn't even want to be around you. Okay, so that actually restores the relationship partially by breaking the false order of dominion. Then you have an opportunity to set up the proper order of dominion after you've broken the improper order of dominion. And we also call that dividing good and evil. Dividing good and evil. So before evil can be put in its proper place, or the body can be put in its proper place, a lot of offerings representative of that were offerings that were cut in half, where the right was placed over the left specifically. Okay, that's what it represented, those things. Okay, the second reason for restoration is that it is a debt. In other words, you owe the false relationship some proof that you really want to get away from it. Okay, so Satan will say, I'm not letting go of this guy. But when you furnish enough proof that you don't want to be like him, okay, and it entails you doing something uncomfortable that fallen nature thinks is uncomfortable, when you furnish that proof, Satan is separated. Otherwise, he would have to stay with you and surrender along with you, and he has no intention of doing that. So he has to confess that you're no longer like him, and that is when you are no longer in the midway position, and God can start relating with you. Okay, so, but before you do that, your debt is to offer proof. And there's two types of proof. Mind-body unity proof, staying on task, because the angel couldn't stay on task and remain in good standing. The second thing is, you have to purge the fallen nature. You have to have a view towards people that exceeds the level of value that Satan holds for humans. Okay, that's called foundation of faith and foundation of substance. Okay, so restoration is also a debt. Also, restoration is finite. Once a person has separated from Satan and receives God's blessing and learns to live based on God's energy and God's love, okay, that's a pretty done deal. Especially if you got good at dividing good and evil in yourself. I mean, you don't have to necessarily divide good and evil in yourself as a daily activity if you're no longer actually doing evil. If you've displaced the bad habits with good habits, you're not primarily focused on separating bad habits. Restoration is actually finite. If restoration was infinite, then there would be no hope of ridding us of Satan. So you ought to believe in the you that doesn't have anything to do with Satan, whether that person exists right now or exists in the future as a result of your religious effort. And I don't mean traditional religion, but your effort to deny your lower self, and you know what I'm talking about. All right, so did you know that John the Baptist failed to join Jesus? I think you might have heard that in the divine principle. But did the divine principle also impress upon you that true Father might be rejected when he comes? That when the Lord of the second advent comes, he might be rejected. And if he's rejected, he would have to take on the role of John the Baptist. Do you really understand that Father had to take on the role of John the Baptist? Do you know what that means? Let me tell you what it means. It means that he can't even fully act like the Father until he's no longer in the John the Baptist position, which is why in 1992 he gave a sermon called The Reappearance of the Lord of the Second Advent. Why would the Lord of the Second Advent have to reappear? I'll tell you why. And they don't teach this in Unification Church. They don't differentiate between Unificationism under the era of Restoration and under the era after Restoration. Okay, but you should. I came in 1996, so I was not an old wineskin, and that's why I'm pretty daggone clear about this. Okay, I find that the old era assaults people like me in the new era. Okay, I found where Father said that the new members will have to step over the dead bodies of the old members. Okay, I found where Father said that old members will persecute new members. Okay, so I'm just explaining providentially how that comes out, because you served the John the Baptist version of Father, and maybe you didn't realize that. From 1945, when he was rejected by Baekmun Kim and Ho Bin Ho, who represented Korean Christianity, until Gorbachev and Kim Il-sung failed to kill him and embraced him. Okay, and that is when the Berlin Wall fell and world level Cain surrendered to world level Abel, and the Cold War ended. That is the condition that Father claimed that we had come out of Restoration and started teaching new things, and started proclaiming true parents to the world. And he started teaching things from the prerogative of the parent with the right of the parent. Okay, he was no longer under a gag order that Satan had him under not to teach certain things. So guess what he uncorked? The doctrine of supremacy of the conscience. And he went around making pledges, not us making pledges to him, but him joining with us. Get that? Get that? Do you get that? Do you get the difference? Him and us making a pledge together, not us pledging to him. He's to follow our conscience above leaders, even above parents. See, this is a tremendous era of liberation. All right. So, absolute sex as the original steering wheel that each couple, as owners of Chanuguk, owners of the cosmos, have their hands on those steering wheels locally inside their own house. Absolute sex. Absolute sex teaches that the sexual organ is the dividing line between heaven and hell. Who drives the creation of heaven? Who drives the creation of hell? Couples do, through the use of their sexual organ. That is not a centralized thing where a church leader has more power than the blessed couples. No, it's the blessed couples that have the power over the cosmos. Do you understand that? Do you understand that the dividing line between heaven and hell is not a sermon? Do you understand that the dividing line between heaven and hell is not an official memo from headquarters? You understand that, right? Do you understand that Father is restoring the original dynamics that would have been in a world unperturbed by the fall? If the world had not been upset by the fall, each couple would come to direct dominion and share the direct connection and lordship of their couple. And they would have the ultimate wisdom of absolute faith. Absolute faith means the mind of God. And the principle says that we would have that mind of God, and it would keep us from harming ourselves. We would know clearly how our behavior might be destructive, and we wouldn't do it. Okay? So Father said he taught us everything. That means inside of Father's currently reachable words is enough understanding for us to drive ourselves. Yes, to be the people who would never fall. Do you understand that, right? Do you understand that the potential of being people who would never fall is already in Father's words? That's what he means when he says, I taught you everything. In other words, if he's supposed to bring us up to the level of having the mind of God, he already actually did his portion of responsibility as a teacher. He already did. It's already in those words. All right. So Reverend Moon was John the Baptist, and then he opened up a whole bunch of parental teaching that parent has the right to teach his children if somebody else no longer has a claim of parenthood standing in the way. And that's what post-restoration means, that the false parent no longer has a claim of parenthood telling him, you're not these kids' parents, you can't teach them that. So he opened up a bunch of teaching. Supremacy of conscience, absolute sex, tribal messiahship, okay, and stuff like that. Fourth Adamism, okay, the realm of fourth Adam. These are all liberating things, every last one of them. There's nothing about fourth Adam that has hierarchy in it. Nothing. The fact that restoration is over, the fact that all church signs should come down. He said, don't be sad, but this sign will eventually come down. He said, the era of religion is over. This is incredibly, do you see how the heart of the parent is liberating us? We don't understand the liberation just yet. Well, some of us do. I know the 7,000 does. The 7,000 that did not bend their knee to bow. All right. Reappearance of the Lord of the second advent. Oh, the Cain-Abel imperative. This should be abundantly obvious, but the Cain-Abel imperative is gone. That was just there as a stunt to prove to Satan that we didn't view humans the way he did. So we had to go through the egregious feelings that he went through when he viewed Adam and Eve as being this and that better than him and his envy, and overcome it. By overcoming it, we show him that we're ready to live a life and have a viewpoint that he doesn't like, so he gets away from us. It's called separation from Satan. So Cain and Abel facilitated that emotional crucible in which, under fire, we learn to stop caning out, stop doing different types of murder. All right? You all should understand this ain't no murder. Even though I'm dropping fire on you, I'll explain that later. Okay. Cain and Abel, father said in, I believe it was 2010 in Hawaii, that Cain and Abel is replaced by the relationship between someone with vertical responsibility who is working with someone that has horizontal responsibility. It should be abundantly obvious that people with the vertical responsibility, they grasp the need that at this time the culture or the community needs this, or the cosmos needs this, and but the vertical person doesn't do the how part. So they work with the how person. That's it. Two brothers working for the father. One has a deeper understanding of why, and the other one is strong in, okay, I can get that done. I can call this person. I can go buy some of this. I can stack that up over there, and da 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 da. He has the external responsibility. They both work together, and they have the same love for the father. The second guy, the external guy, doesn't have to know why. All he has to have is the character to want to help and surrender to making the other person happy. In other words, just attend. He doesn't have to understand. He could choose to attend. But that's what Cain-Abel is replaced by. It's replaced by a brotherly relationship. Okay, there's no imperative here. You're evil if you don't want to surrender to that. He'll find somebody else who can do the external. If the vertical guy really is on it, he's not going to curse you for not wanting to help him. Okay? Religion is over. Now, the idea that God only looks at the fruit of religion is over. God can come and relate to whoever he wants now. But in terms of your personal growth, you still should go through exercises to separate from your self-centeredness. Okay? Does religion still hold prescriptions that are good for separating from your own childishness and self-centeredness? Yeah. Yes. So when Father says the era of religion is over, it means the religious imperative through which God is limited to working with people through that, right? That's done. Okay? But you still need training if you need training, period. You still need some kind of a lifestyle to arrest yourself, the part of you that keeps getting you in trouble. Yes. So I hope that's clear. External Cain surrendered, not internal Cain. So external Cain. Gorbachev and Kim Il-sung, external Cain. 1992, 1990, they surrendered, right? Okay, good. Who didn't surrender? Well, let me go back. The religious leaders really didn't surrender. Okay? Now, restoration, I got to talk about indemnity. Indemnity means that you go through the same course to neutralize an accusation, or you go through the reciprocal course. Now, what that means is if somebody in your ancestry chopped off somebody else's arm, you have to go through the moment of temptation where you want to chop off somebody's arm, and you overcome that feeling and put the axe down. Okay, that's indemnity with a same or similar congruent course. Indemnity of a reciprocal course is somebody comes after you and chops your arm off, and you say, I probably deserve this because I heard that some of my ancestors were barbarians. It's all right, I forgive you. Okay, that is also a type of indemnity. And throughout restoration history, indemnity wasn't accomplished if it wasn't accomplished. So I'm about to tell you what was not accomplished. Do you think that John the Baptist accomplished handing over the religious foundation of Israel to the second Adam? No. What does that mirror? Do you think Lucifer accomplished handing over the whole angelic world into the service of the first Adam? No. So John the Baptist didn't do it. Lucifer didn't do it. Did Baek Moon Kim do it? Did Baek Moon Kim, the pinnacle of the whole Christian realm that had been built up for 2,000 years, the representative, did he hand it over to the third Adam? Say no so we can move on. Don't get stuck. No, he didn't. So did God say, oh, we don't need that done anymore? Did actually the purging lessons of going through that victoriously descend into the minds and into the standard of the people of God? No. So it emerged again when Father says things like this. The religious signs, and even this church sign, should come down. Don't feel bad. Well, why does Father have to say don't feel sad and don't feel bad, which he did say? Why? Because old wineskins are old wineskins. And once something changes and the new Adamic era comes, as in 1992, a new Adamic era came. The era of fourth Adam came. Fourth Adam upset some people. Do you understand that when you mention fourth Adam in our religious realm, some people get threatened? Do you understand that there are people who wanted the webmasters who freely create websites that host Father's words, that those webmasters were approached by Korean elders to take away the speeches wherein Father asserts that your conscience is higher than God and higher than parents and higher than leaders? Because those liberating words were causing leaders to lose their members, to break down their hierarchies. Yes, the new era comes and is seemingly violent to the old. Was that different? Look at Lucifer. He had a violent reaction to the advent of Adam. Look at the crucifixion of Jesus. Look at Father's 6 imprisonments. There is some violence. So don't lie to me. I joined in 1996. I have at least 8 experiences where I had to overcome older members through some sort of spiritual violence. Okay? So I can tell you about those experiences. I wrote them down the other day, but I don't want them for this video. But this is the type of person I am. I know who I'm dealing with. I still love you because I would have fled this bitch already. You understand? I still care about you. I don't want you to be stuck as an old wineskin. Do you know if you get stuck as an old wineskin, what happens to you? Just like the Israelites in the desert, God has to wait for you to die off. So, did internal Cain surrender if John the Baptist didn't, Lucifer didn't, Baek Moon Kim didn't, and in the new era, somebody's got to eat that crow that John the Baptist obviously didn't want to eat. Baek Moon Kim didn't eat it. It was right on the plate in front of certain figures in this movement. The highest leaders were experiencing the destruction of their different fiefdoms and pyramids under the force and the march of the decentralization of Father's new words in the era of fourth Adam. And we were told that we could live with Father and move into the era of fourth Adam in a place based on tribal messiahship and not necessarily church. So this whole thing of not necessarily church, try to have a debate with a district pastor about whether or not the church is necessary. That conversation is going to be tainted by the fact that church feeds his children. Okay? And if he's pure enough to speak outside of those desires, great. But guess what? You don't actually really even have to talk to him. But, my point is the old era is sticky. And you know how unificationists kill one another? With passive aggression. They act like they never heard genius. They act like they never heard clarity. Okay? Passive aggressively. Like passive aggressive worms. Many of you are worms. You act like you don't know. If I told you something and you've been waiting to hear an answer for a particular question that bothered you, just say hypothetically, for 10 years you've been waiting, but I tell you in a way that burns your ego and your fallen nature, part of you is going to want to pretend to your own spiritual detriment that you never heard that answer because you hate the messenger or you hate something about the messenger. And some of you, as a black man, let me tell you, you're waiting for a white guy to wear these words that I'm telling you. You're waiting for a white guy to grandstand in front of everybody with this type of clarity, okay? And good luck with that. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. And somebody might jump up and get as clear and as convicted, okay? And he's the right color for you. Maybe he's yellow. Maybe he's white. But if there's something he doesn't understand, you ain't even gonna say, maybe you should go call up Jamal. See, this is your passive aggression. Listen, in a minute I'm gonna explain why I don't need you to come ask me for anything, okay? I don't have that need. But I'm talking about you having the need to have the world happen in a white way or have the world happen in a yellow way. And the way you carry out murder is to ignore things. You're very passive in your murder. Your anger style is passive aggressive. Okay? So when you don't encourage people to visit their neighbors or try to do tribal messiahship and this kind of thing, that's how you act it out. District leaders and pastors don't encourage the decentralization words. You don't encourage people to follow their conscience. Hey, get up and leave. You are a great member of our team, but if your conscience is calling you to go, go. Like, are you on board with the liberation? Well, we shouldn't need you to actually stamp approval on our own liberation. That should come from our Father. So really, what do we need you for? But the fact that you purposely avoid those topics, even though those are in Father's words, you're being very much other than the elder brother that the new era would need. Okay?